Hey guys, hello and welcome to Naveed for Speed. In today's video, I am going to be driving this car right here. It's the Maserati MC20. It's Maserati's first supercar in over 20 years. The last one was the Maserati MC12. And as we all know, that was underneath just a Ferrari Enzo. In order to find the last proper Maserati supercar, you have to go all the way back to the border. But now we have this, the MC20, and this car is supposed to usher in a new era of design and performance for the Maserati brand. Now I've already driven the Maserati MC20 Cielo, and if you want to go watch that video, click this button up here and you can go check that out. But in today's video, I'm going to be exploring this, which is the coupe. And I'm going to take you around the exterior of the car, I'm going to take you around the interior, and then I'm going to take it out on a drive to see exactly how it feels like, in particular compared to the Cielo, because this car is 65 kilograms lighter than that car. But anyway, let me show you around the car. I'll start with the exterior, and in particular, let's start with the front here. I'm going to start by mentioning this front grille area over here, which is quite similar to the front grille area of the Maserati GranTurismo. And it reminds me of the 250F, the Formula One car, because of this opening over here in this distinct shape. It kind of has become a little bit of Maserati's identity, and it speaks to the racing heritage of the brand. Of course, you'll also see the Maserati Trident over here, the Maserati badge at the top as well. I really like the bonnet as well. This whole front area is sculpted nicely. Now, the overall design of the Maserati MC20 is really quite nice. It's quite subtle in certain places. It's quite a pure design, and you'll notice that amongst the entire car, including these wheels. I really quite like these wheels. These are called the birdcage design wheels. I think they look really cool and they complement the rest of the car. You'll also notice also down here at the front splitter over there and along the side over here, this side skirts area, it's all carbon fibre. Now this is part of the carbon fibre pack. It's an optional extra that you pay £36,000 for. So it's quite pricey, but again, carbon fibre is what makes this car what it is, and I'll show you more about the carbon fibre when we go inside the cockpit, inside the cabin. But you'll also know that this car has a carbon fibre monocoque, which it only weighs around 100 kgs or slightly less than 100 kilograms. So that's what's supposed to make this car rigid. It's supposed to make this car really agile, really exciting to drive, and it's been designed by Dallara, and they know what they're doing when it comes to that sort of dynamic driving. The rest of the car, as we keep going around the car, you'll notice the length of this car. So this car has a length of about 467 centimeters, so 4.67 meters, and the wheelbase is 2.7 meters as well. So slightly shorter wheelbase than you would expect in you know, for example, the Maserati GranTurismo. So it should be quite an agile car. And of course, you can see how low it sits. It is really quite low. As we move towards the back of the car, you'll particularly at the bottom here, you'll see loads of carbon fibre over here now. All this back bumper area, rear diffuser, that's all carbon fibre as well. And just to finish it all off, at the top over here, you've got the engine cover, which is this glass cover, and inside you can see that V6 engine. Talking about that V6 engine, it's 100% Maserati, that engine. It's a 3-litre V6 twin turbo engine. It's called the Nettuno engine. It produces 630 horsepower, and it's, I mean, I'll tell you exactly what it's like when we go out on the road. But before I do, let's go inside and I'll show you the interior cabin. So I'll very quickly show you around the interior of this car, but before I do want to mention about that engine. That engine weighs less than 220 kilograms. So it's a 90 degrees V, and it's got a dry sump as well. So again, I'll tell you what that feels like when we go out on the road. But let me show you this interior, because you'll notice in here, it seems a little bit more in a race car style. You've got Alcantara everywhere. You've got this Alcantara headlining, Alcantara in the doors, Alcantara on the dashboard here behind the steering wheel. You've got Alcantara everywhere, even on the steering wheel. And then you've got carbon fibre on the steering wheel. You've got carbon fibre here in the center console area as well. And you've got carbon fibre little bits throughout the cabin. I think it looks really good. It comes together really nicely. I do want to show you the screens that you get. So I'll just start the car, and you might be able to hear the engine. Just behind the driver and passenger's head, you'll hear that engine. But let me tell you about these screens, because you get two screens. You get one central infotainment screen, which isn't the fastest to respond. I mean, it's doing better than the Maserati GranTurismo that I drove. But yeah, you get that. That's 10.25 inches. And over here, you've got this 10.25 inch screen for the driver display as well. Let me turn that off. So you've got this screen in front of you, which tells you all your different information that you need whilst you're driving. In front of the driver, the steering wheel has all these buttons on it, and you've got the stop-start button here and launch control as well. I do want to mention this center console area because I quite like the simplicity of it. You have the drive mode and you've got the reverse, but over here, using this rotary dial, that's where you can change from sport mode to GT mode, wet mode, and Corsa. Does it have Corsa? Yes, it does. But, well, let me turn the Corsa mode on right now. And you can change the suspension settings. But you notice as I put the car into sport mode, that exhaust note has changed, because basically when you put the car into sport mode, it changes a lot of things like the boost pressure. It changes the exhaust valves, so they open a lot sooner, and it just makes everything a bit more stiffer. Again, I don't think I'm going to get an opportunity to put the car in sport mode out on the road, but I'll tell you what it feels like in general. Another thing I do have to mention is this interior mirror, which I did mention in the MC20 Cielo. It's basically a screen because rear visibility isn't great in this car. So you get this camera at the back, which shows you this screen of what's behind you. Now, I'm not really a fan of these screens because when you look into a mirror, you feel like you're looking into like somewhere deep, somewhere far, whereas here you have to adjust your eyes to look at this screen, and of course you can't move your head to get a different view, so you're just kind of stuck with that. But I suppose because you've got this engine behind your head, that's needed. Let me tell you about these seats before we finish. These seats have this leather on them, these bucket style seats. I think they feel really comfortable. They don't feel firm, they feel quite cushiony, and I feel like when I'm driving this car on the road, they will quite help. And you've got the Maserati Trident stitched into them as well, so I think that's really quite good. Door handles, well, to open the doors, you have to press this button here next to your legs, I suppose, and then that opens the doors, and then you can just push them open. And of course, I do have to mention, you've got these scissor doors, which, I mean, for a supercar, they just look so cool. That's part of the drama of a supercar. So I think you might just briefly be able to see some of the carbon fiber in the door. And I do want to mention the door sills as well. The door sills are as thick as you would imagine. I think they look really cool with the MC20 logo on them as well. So overall, it looks the part, but let's go see how it drives. So what is the Maserati MC20 like to drive? Well, I've already driven the MC20 Cielo, and so I have a decent idea as to what this will feel like. Of course, this car is slightly lighter than that car, but in general, there probably isn't a lot more difference in this car compared to that. I mean, it feels like you're sat quite low, and it feels quite stiff. Of course, you've got that carbon fiber monocoque designed by Dallara. I think, you know, it makes the entire car feel nice and stiff. Over-the-shoulder visibility isn't great, to be honest. Yes. As we just navigate that junction there. I mean, there you go. I already got somebody waving. It just goes to show that this is a car that people like, and it's a beautiful car. I think it looks better than some of its competitors from McLaren and Ferrari. I think this is an absolutely stunning car. And like I mentioned, it doesn't have anything quite bold in its design. It doesn't have too many sharp edges. It just is pure Italian driving. And now I'm just approaching a bump, so I need to raise the nose. I hope I've done that right. Yes, there we go. So if you are going to spec yourself the £36,000 carbon fiber pack, then it's probably a good idea for you to spec yourself the nose lifter optional extra as well. So if you go over speed bumps, you're not gonna damage that carbon fiber at the bottom, which is clearly quite expensive. Anyway, let me talk about this car and how it feels to drive. Because because it has a 3-litre V6 Nettuno engine, which produces 630 horsepower and it produces 730 Newton meters of torque. So it is a decent, you know, a decent powerhouse there. Overall, on this rather quicker road, it feels not as firm as I thought it would be. We've got it in GT mode at the moment, and this car feels like it is set up really well for GTing. It's comfortable. The steering wheel is a tad light, but it's nice and direct and easy to operate and easy to guess exactly how much input you need to put in. Talking about how much input you need to put in, you have the brakes. The brakes are carbon ceramic, but that brake pedal is not the easiest to guess because you have to push down hard on that brake pedal in order to get some sort of output, in order to get some sort of effect from it. And that is designed to be like a race car. So you have to put quite a lot of pressure on, and it's right at the very edge that you get the most amount of effect out of that brake pedal. So yeah, I mean, overall, you can get a sense of this car feeling like it's set up to be like a race car because it's got that race car heritage, it's got that DNA in the brand, the way the cabin is set up as well. But overall, it can also double up as a GT car, I think. You can see how it starts to get a little bit uncomfortable when the road gets a little bit more bumpy. But I think overall, the car feels very nicely set up. It feels well balanced actually, especially when you are going around faster corners. You don't feel, you have the confidence in the fact that you're not going to understeer or oversteer, and you can just put your foot into it, get those rear wheels turning, get that torque doing its job, and you can just enjoy a day like today, which I think it's a beautiful day today. This car in this yellow color, I'm not gonna try and pronounce the name of this color, but in this color, I think it looks absolutely stunning. And I think overall, as an Italian supercar, Maserati are back in the game. I mean, this car is a couple of years old now, at least, but Maserati are back in the game. It's not going to be the car that's, you know, they probably sell most of. That's the Grecale. But it certainly is a car that captures that imagination of people. Now, talking about capturing imagination of people, if you want to capture the money of people, then you gotta have a look at the price of this car. This car starts at just over £227,000. And if you add on all the optional extras, like this car is spec'd, then we're looking at close to £300,000. It's over £290,000. So it's not a cheap car. And some of the other cars in its class, especially from McLaren, like the Artura, might offer better value. But it's this Italian flair that you get with this car. It's the beautiful design that you get with this car. And it's that really nice chassis, that Dallara chassis, the monocoque that you get. I was initially going to say that this car is an engine. You're paying for an engine and the cars around it, but you're not. You're paying for an engine, you're paying for a monocoque, and you're paying for this beautiful design. So overall, it comes together really nicely. Oh, there you go. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope to see you in the next video. Thank you and take care.